Okay, get ready to dive into one of the most fascinating, ancient, and incredibly dramatic events on the planet, the election of a new pope. It's a moment that captures the world's attention, steeped in history and mystery. Have you ever wondered what happens when the seat of the Catholic Church becomes empty? That period is officially called sede vacante, which is just fancy Latin for empty seat. It's the time between a pope's passing and the election of his successor, and let me tell you, the clock starts ticking. The election must begin between 15 and 20 days after the Pope's death. Now, how long does this election actually take? That's the million-dollar question. A conclave, that's the name for this secret meeting, has no fixed timetable. We're talking potentially hours, days, or even weeks. So who gets to vote for the next spiritual leader of over 1 billion Catholics? While technically any male Catholic could be elected, in practice, the choice always falls to the cardinals. These are the highest-ranking officials in the Church, right after the Pope himself, and for centuries, the popes have been chosen from their ranks. It's a bit like being in an exclusive club where only members get to pick the next president. But here's a twist. Not all cardinals get a vote. There's an age limit. If a cardinal is over 80, they are considered ineligible to participate in the conclave. For the upcoming conclave, that means we'll have 135 cardinals with voting rights. These are the papal, the potential popes, while 117 cardinals, having reached that age, won't be casting a ballot. Imagine a time when choosing a pope took forever. Back in earlier centuries, the period between popes, called the interregnum, could drag on for years. We're talking epic waits, like almost 3 years in the 13th century. It was out of this frustration that the conclave system as we know it was born. The term conclave literally means with a key, cum clave in Latin, because they decided to lock the cardinals away until they made a decision. No leaving, no outside contact, until the world had a new pope. Talk about pressure. The rules for this super-secret election were officially laid out in 1996 by Pope John Paul II, and they've even been tweaked since. For a while, you only needed a 2/3 majority vote up to a certain point. But Pope Benedict XVI changed things up in 2007, decreeing that after 33 ballots, if no one has reached that 2/3 majority, they move to a runoff election between the top 2 candidates. And yes, that 2/3 majority is still required, even in the runoff. Now let's get to the heart of the action, the voting process. Picture this. Inside the awe-inspiring Sistine Chapel, each cardinal steps up, ballot in hand. They approach the altar, raise their folded ballot high, and make a solemn oath, looking towards a crucifix. They declare, "I call Christ, who will be my judge, to witness that I am voting for the one whom I believe should be elected according to God's will." Goosebumps, right? The ballot itself is cool, rectangular, with a pre-printed line at the top that says, "I elect as Supreme Pontiff." Cardinals write their chosen name, trying to disguise their handwriting but keeping it legible, fold the ballot twice, and place it into an urn. Once everyone has voted, the urn is shaken, and the votes are counted publicly. And then comes the part the whole world watches for, the smoke. After each round of voting, the ballots are burned. If no one has reached the required majority, they add a special substance, traditionally pitch, to create black smoke puffing out of the Sistine Chapel chimney. This is the signal. Nope, not yet, no pope. But when a pope is successfully chosen, they mix the ballots with moist straw, which produces that glorious white smoke, and the bells of St. Peter's ring out. That's the moment of truth, the signal to the world. We have a pope. Life inside the conclave has changed, though. Back in 1978, cardinals were reportedly crammed into tiny cells with shared facilities in the Apostolic Palace. Not exactly luxury accommodations, but since the 2005 conclave, they've moved to the renovated Domus Sanctae Martyr, a guest house within the Vatican, with private suites and rooms. Much more comfortable. But don't think they're lounging around watching TV. Oh no. To maintain absolute, ironclad secrecy, the chapel is swept for any hidden mics or bugs, and the cardinals are completely cut off. No TV, no newspapers, and definitely no phones or smartphones allowed. It's total radio silence until a new pope is elected. Every single detail of the election is strictly controlled, from the oaths to the ballot format to the counting and burning. And here's the kicker. The proceedings of the conclave are meant to be kept strictly confidential. Nothing is supposed to be revealed unless the new pope gives permission later. Talk about keeping a secret. There's no doubt about it, the papal election, with its ancient rites and mysterious atmosphere, holds an incredible fascination for people everywhere. The grand processions, the ceremonial setting, the anticipation, it's a truly unique spectacle. It's so captivating, it's even inspired books and movies, like the recent film conclave. However, not everyone thinks this process is the best fit for the modern world. Some critics, like theologian Paul Zuliner, argue that the conclave, relying solely on cardinals appointed by the previous pope, feels a bit medieval. As he put it, with all due respect to the cardinals and their appointments, this is an old game that no longer fits our synodal church. He believes a more representative system, perhaps with delegates chosen by bishops' conferences worldwide, would be a more synodal or collaborative approach. But, as of now, those kinds of sweeping changes aren't on the table. The tradition continues. Once that glorious white smoke rises, and the world knows a new pope has been chosen, there's a strict protocol for his grand reveal. 3 papal robes, in different sizes, are already prepared by the historic Gamarelli tailor. The new pope chooses the best fit, receives the pledges of loyalty from the cardinals, and then the moment arrives. He steps onto the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. And there, the senior cardinal steps forward and announces to the roaring crowd below those iconic words, Habemus Papam. We have a pope. And that, my friends, is how the Catholic Church gets its new leader. A process ancient, secretive, dramatic, and absolutely unforgettable.